The Three Faces of Eve, a 1957 movie, and it's directed by Nunnally Johnson, who also produced it. I hadn't heard of this woman before, and it's based on a book by Corbett Tickpen and Harvey Cleckley. The screenplay is by Johnson as well, and it stars Joanne Woodward as Eve, Y.E. Black and Jane. More of that later. Her husband Ralph is played by David Wayne. Then we have the two doctors, the psychiatrist Curtis Luther, played excellently by Lee J. Cobb, and Dr. Day, played by Edwin Jerome. Music by Robert Dolan. This movie is about multiple personality. It was a very radical sort of type of movie for its time. Also, significantly, Joanne Woodward was a largely unknown actress when she took on this role, and she won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her performance, and it is terrific. So briefly, Eve Y is a timid, lovable wife and mother who starts suffering from headaches, some of them severe, and this leads to occasional blackouts. Eventually she ends up being referred to Luther, the personality psychiatrist, and whilst under hypnosis he becomes familiar with the alter ego personality, Eve Black, and so it's clear that there are two personalities competing inside the woman's mind, and although Black is aware of White, White isn't aware of Black. I hope that hasn't confused you too much. Now, Black is a complete contrast. She's a combination of rather precociousness, flirtatious, and also adolescent in her need for attention, for gratification, etc. And this causes consternation when she's let out in the presence of her husband. Her husband is of the opinion that she's faking this mental illness. However, the psychiatrist, played by Cobb, considers that the personality is incomplete, and that the two are, well, certainly Black is competing for exposure with White. As the situation deteriorates, an incident involving the young child, which puts her in danger, convinces Luther that Eve White needs a period in a facility, a mental health facility, and this is recommended, although treatment does continue, and this happens a year into the treatment. We witness scenes of Black's sort of extravagant behaviour. For example, she buys lots of new clothes, and then when returning to White, she has no recollection of how they were bought. And we also see incidents later on where in the actual psychiatrist's office, the husband witnesses the transformation from Eve Black to Eve White to help him get some perspective on the fact that there is an illness going on here. However, he isn't mature enough to handle this situation, and when it happens at home, he still continues to believe that the black personality is a fake. And so we have this ongoing battle for acceptance that there is a mental illness by the husband, and this causes further problems with the psychiatric facility being necessary for a longer period. At one point, though, Luther tries another tact and tries through hypnosis to regress the patient back, and it becomes evident through the arrival of a third, a calming personality, Jane, that an incident did occur way back in the child's primary phase, when she was quite young, age 6. An incident occurred at the funeral of a grandmother who was laid out in a open coffin, and there was an expectation that everyone, including the small child, should actually touch the deceased, and this provoked intense grief and terror. And the psychiatrist's diagnosis is that it was at that point that the splitting of the personalities took place. Okay, so that's quite a detailed look at the plot. The fact that Woodward was shuffling between 3 distinct personalities in her character portrayal is something quite remarkable, and given the fact that she was regarded as not an experienced actress, certainly in lead roles such as this, it says something for the fact that she won the Academy Award, and her ability to switch the emotional level within the personalities was quite dramatic and impressive. And so anyway, to conclude then, a very, very interesting movie, very radical. It hasn't made my top 10, however, although it's going to be at number 12. Three Faces of Eve, 1957. Get to watch it. It's quite interesting and quite thought-provoking.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have entered a soundstage at 20th Century Fox Studio for a visit with Nunnally Johnson, writer, producer, and director who gave you How to Marry a Millionaire, and the man in the gray flannel suit. Mr. Johnson is directing the exciting young star Joanne Woodward, David Wayne, and Lee J. Cobb in The Three Faces of Eve.
There are 3 characters in Three Faces of Eve who occupy one body, female. This female is married. This is a true story, the most completely documented case of multiple personality in the history of medicine. The book from which this account was taken, also called The Three Faces of Eve, is the Reader's Digest Book Club choice.
Maybe he wants to get Bonnie away from me.
You mean by divorce?
No, sir, maybe not that, but if he could make me believe I'm losing my mind.
Is that what you think he's trying to do?
Well, I don't know what else it could be the way he tells it. Am I?
She is a bit livelier then as the second of the personalities. Eve Black, a girl who loved nothing better than a few hookers of gin and a romp with a stranger.
Don't you want to give me one?
Well, I never seen you take a drink before.
Honey, there are a lot of things you never seen me do before. That's no sign I don't do. Oh, thrill me. Let your kisses thrill me. Just like you and you alone can do. Hold me, honey, and fold me. Never hold me from you.
And then this third specimen of young womanhood finally emerges.
hiding under the house.
She made me kiss her. No. Don't you want to give me one?
Well, I never seen you take a drink before.
Honey, there are a lot of things you never seen me do before. That's no sign I don't do.